how much am I willing to lose in order to make money?
Everything is trainable. It is possible to make it. And that's why I want this paradigm shift in trading, that simple trading exists.
I look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's me, the Einstein on Wall Street, here from the balcony at the New York Stock Exchange. You know, I brought you everything in food, fashion, finance, and basically people telling their story. You know, what for me, the human element is the most important thing out there in every field that I've done. I've talked to you about tech. I've talked to you about trading. I've talked to you about fashion. I've talked to you about all the wonders of finance. And you know me, the thing that I hold deep to my heart is basically how one person at a time with one other person can actually change and empower each other and change other people's lives. And for me, that's the most thing. You know, the collaboration and the, you know, sort of the two people talking to each other, one person at a time, trying to change the world and empower other people to be their best self. At the end of the day, it's really not about the cash and prizes. That's really not what's going on. It's about what's going on in people's minds. How do we make them better? How do we give them a level of comfort and solitude that they can be their best self? At the end of the day, we know it's like find something you love to do. You'll never work a day in your life. That's just the beginning of it. But you know what? The human consciousness is so powerful in every field. It plays a huge role in it. And look, we've had the fortunality that there are people who know a lot about psychology, who know a lot about human consciousness, and who know a lot about the human element. That is the most powerful thing of all. So today I could not be more excited because in my field, in finance and in trading, at the end of the day, anybody can be taught to hit a button to get into a trade. It's a matter of what you do when you get into the trade. The psychology behind it is number one, preeminent, the most important thing that needs to be taught. And that's the differentiator between someone being successful in life, in relationships, in trading, and not being successful. So anyway, I could not be more happy to introduce you today to my new friend, Vanessa Charland, as they say in English, in American, right? Welcome. How are you?
I'm great. I mean, what a great tour today. Thank you so much. So nice meeting you.
It is so nice to meet you. I'm so happy you're here. You know, and look, you got a little sense of the energy that's in this room, what kind of makes me me, right? I mean, this is my office, right? So for me, coming in here every day is like being in the Super Bowl, right? And, you know, and it's that human element. It's the history part of it, right? It's what we do here, right? It's, you know, think about going back. Right now, obviously, it's a little more dislocated because we're working with technologies come into any field. Like we're not any different than anybody else, but you could get the sense that I'm holding on to, and not in a desperate way, but I think the most important thing that I can do is carry on that history of one human being talking to another, engaging them, and about consciousness, about psychology of trading, and what's the difference there. So give me a little background on you. How did you start, and how did you find your way into my world?
Pleasure. All right, so I started 3 years and a half ago. I got introduced by a friend. He was swing trading, and I thought, you know, I always been investing, and I think it's cool that you can close position, close position at a faster pace. And then
I want to interrupt you, sorry, because I want to know more about you. Let's talk about you at 18 years old.
Okay.
Okay, and then the journey into psychology and how you ended up picking your career.
Okay.
And then we'll have plenty of time to talk about trading.
When I finished high school, we go to a cégep. It's called a
gymnasium. Is it? No, it's the next day.
It's like in between university and high school.
Right, got you.
And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a translator. I wanted to be a mechanical engineer.
Wow.
I wanted to be a medical doctor.
Right.
Because I'm a very curious person.
Right.
And then I ended up saying, you know what? I tried many things, and I love helping others. Like it's like a calling. I want to be helpful to another person. So I just started psychology as a bachelor, and I loved it. And then I became fascinated by the human consciousness. Like what makes us conscious?
Right.
Like what happens when you get in a big car accident? How do you recover? How the brain can repair itself?
Right.
And the most passionate fact about the brain is the neuroplasticity.
Okay.
So the ability.
Explain that. What does that mean?
The ability of the brain to change
and to recover.
Evolve,
okay,
to recover.
Right.
The brain is a beautiful machine.
It's amazing.
It's very complex, yet can sometimes be very simple at the same time. So
and we are very rarely do we use a majority of what our brain is capable of, right?
Exactly.
We're just starting to see insight into that.
So we pay attention to what we have in the attention field, right? So yeah, we can lose a lot of what is going on. And also we can make stories for ourselves.
Right.
Because our own beliefs will like act as glasses as the way we look at the world. You know, we will filter.
You mean like our opinions or our upbringing, or I mean our socialization?
Yeah, everything. Your upbringing, what you were taught as a kid, and then what you started to believe, you will hold it for true. And then everything will be filtered. And that's a topic I work on with traders, on cognitive behavioral therapy, how our thoughts and emotions are influencing our actions. So I did my bachelor in Montreal, and then I decided I want to go study human consciousness in the best research team in the world. So I ended up in Belgium. I didn't know anybody. So I packed my suitcase.
And you went all by yourself?
All by myself. I remember sleeping there the first night in my tiny apartment, and like, are you crazy?
What are you doing here?
Like, come on, like, you know no one. So I did my master, my PhD in Belgium, and I just loved it. I worked there for 11 years at the hospital. I was managing a team of 50 psychologists who were doing health psychology, and I was also working in intensive care, so assessing patient after a big trauma or cardiac
accident.
arrest. Because consciousness, if the person cannot communicate, it's very difficult to see if it's there. So some people will wake up totally awake, yet they cannot move. How can they prove if they're conscious or not?
Well, and also, what about, like, and I'm dealing with a friend recently who had a brain trauma, a traumatic brain injury, I guess TBI. And they're the ability right around the learning center or the speech center. And to watch somebody who you can know there's brain activity, they're thinking, and they cannot put that into words. I mean, the brain is probably one of the most complex things, in the world, right?
So he wants to say something,
and
but the motor part of speaking is not working properly. The Broca area, we call it. So again, it's more complex than that, but the brain has different function depending on the area of the brain. So yes, and I came back to Canada because I'm Canadian, and I continued my clinical work. Now I work as a private practice. And then when I discovered trading, for me, it was like, okay, now I have two passions. And
how interrelated they are.
And you know why I want to blend them together?
Tell me.
First, it's because, it's the two most interesting worlds, the brain and the market. Two universes.
Yes. And also, it's one of those things where a majority of people, more than 90% of people who attempt it, fail.
So that's totally normal, by the way. So we all suck at trading. Like big time. Because it's against...
That's a financial term, suck at trading.
We suck at this. Okay? Really bad.
We're terrible at it.
Because we're good humans. It means your brain is working properly, because everything we do in trading is counterintuitive.
Explain, what do you mean by that?
What do you mean, like, if I'm giving the market a little bit of my money, I'm protecting myself? Like, if I give money to a stranger on the street, like, it's weird. I don't give away my money to protect myself. Yet in the market, you need to give a little bit of your money sometimes to be out of trouble and to keep your account. You know? So, and also just doing nothing.
Sitting on your hands.
Sitting on your damn hands.
Yep.
You know?
I always joke about, sorry to interrupt you, that, one of the greatest things one can do, obviously the market gives you what's called stop orders, to be able to protect your downside risk. We know that I'm willing to risk $50 to make 200, but I'm not willing to risk 200 to make 50, because if I have one losing trade, I need 4 winners. But I always say that probably the smartest thing one could do is to hire someone to stand behind you with a 2x4, and every time you do some stupid shit, he smacks you in the head. Imagine how much money you would have saved by doing that.
Exactly. So why I want to blend the two worlds, is because I sucked at trading. Maybe more than most people. I was the worst trader. You know why? Because I'm so competitive. I wanted to be the first in the trade. I wanted to learn everything about the markets. I was a first student in everything. In my studies, I was the first.
You were top of the class.
Yeah, always. So trading for me was the same. I would study and I would rock this world, you know?
And you were successful out of the gate or not so?
The 2 first months, yes.
Okay.
And then I crashed.
Okay, and what changed? What changed in that second month?
I got scared. I wasn't scared when I started.
Okay.
I got scared and I was trading.
Scared of losing money or scared of what?
Scared of losing money, and I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
I was not trading with a strategy.
Right.
You know, it was selling, I was selling, it was buying, I was buying. Right. So I crashed for about a year. I tasted all the flavors of the Baskin Robbins. You know, all
31.
The
Yeah.
all the time frames.
Right.
I had all the indicators there. I was overwhelmed and bleeding my own money because I didn't sim trade properly.
Right. Okay. Explain. What do you mean?
I started with real money real fast because I got lucky in the beginning. So I wanted to make my money back always. You know, I was like bleeding.
It's called revenge trading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a very human thing because when you lose money in the real world, you want to work harder.
You want to recoup
it.
Absolutely.
You know, you want to save some money. You know, we're intelligent human beings. We are here to survive. And the brain is not there to trade. It's there to make us survive. Right? So I traumatized myself. I was doing maybe sometimes in one day testing like 10 strategies on one ticker.
Okay.
Like my charts are horrible.
Okay.
And then one day I was crying on my bathroom floor. I was losing it. I said, what is going on? Now I know too much to quit.
Right.
So I need to suck it up. I need to understand what is going on here. And I was so overwhelmed that I taught myself, okay, as a clinician, as a scientist, what is how would I see that scientifically? And in science, less is freaking more.
Right. Yep.
And I went back to the old school traders.
Right.
And I started trading trend lines and higher time frame support resistance.
Right.
And I went naked charts. Naked charts are sexy. Okay. Don't.
What's explain to me? What's a naked chart?
Naked chart is you have the minimum indicators of what you need, right?
Okay. So you don't want your charts to look like air traffic control on 9/11.
Exactly.
You want to keep it simple. And what indicators are you using?
Lines.
Just lines, but what? Exponential moving averages?
No, I have trend lines on the 4-hour chart.
Right.
I have support resistance on the 4-hour and the monthly, and that's it.
Okay. So you're keeping it super simple.
Oh yeah, and I wait for the alert to trigger on my lines.
Okay.
And then I look at it.
Okay. And you built in those those signals.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I draw my line, I set the alert on it.
Okay.
And my alert says, look at me, which is very funny.
Okay.
So it means look at the chart, because if you don't have to trade, don't look at the chart.
Right.
Your brain, 90% of your sensory cortex is dedicated to vision.
Right.
What do you think will happen when you see moving stuff, red and green on your screen?
Right.
You will enter a trade.
Yeah, of course.
So it's about building the right environment for you to help your discipline. Right? But it takes time. And because I could make it, and I'm still a baby trader, I'm 3 years and a half, I'm not saying but I could find my path to make money. Now I have 5-digit days, and I'm like, oh my God, it's happening.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's such a rewarding and worth it journey.
Right.
But it is painful as hell, and it's taking forever. It's the hardest way to make easy money.
Yeah.
It's hard because we will fight against the way we are wired on a daily basis.
Yes.
We have highways to protect us in the brain to survive. When we're losing money, it's a direct threat to the brain.
Right.
So if the cortex doesn't come and talk to the limbic system, then talk to the most primitive regions, we end up emotional.
Yes.
So we have to train the frontal lobe to trade correctly, and that doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah. Well, look, if you go back to the original Wall Street movie, with Michael Douglas and Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
There's a scene. It's obviously the story of Ivan Boesky, right? Ivan Boesky was a gentleman who claimed that he was hearing voices that was telling him about mergers and acquisitions that were going to happen, and that he was going to go out and buy those shares. And then when the takeover happened, he made a bunch of money and he sold his stock. And turned out that he had somebody who was an insider trader who was giving him the information, and boom. But there's a scene in the movie where Charlie Sheen turns to Gordon Gekko, who is the character, and he says, never get emotional about money, Gordon. Yeah. Right? Look, our human nature tells us that money does funny things to people, right? There's greed, right? Greed can be good, right? You know,
you need a little greed.
You need a little greed. Nobody got broke taking a profit. There's so many. Look, the bottom line is anybody can be taught to enter a trade or hit a key or all of that stuff, right? The charts, you're right. Some people love to fill their charts with so much stuff they have no idea what it is.
Christmas tree.
Hope, hype, FOMO, Uncle Herbie on the internet, these are not successful trading strategies. No. But at the end of the day, you really, look, discipline and consistency are the key, right? This is a learning process, right? It's a marathon, it's not a sprint. Right? And at the end of the day, so explain to me, why do you think most people fail at this?
Because they're just good humans.
I don't understand that. What do you mean? So good humans meaning what?
The brain is doing its job of making them survive. So they fail because they don't build the right instructions to instruct the limbic system, the emotional brain, to calm down a little bit.
Okay, so they get emotional, they get excited.
Yes.
Right? So what they get out of, so wait a minute, so imagine one of the things that a lot of traders do is they don't have a plan, they don't have a strategy. Mm-hmm. They get into a trade for any number of reasons, right? Throw a dart at a wall, FOMO, hype, hope, all that stuff. The minute they see a little bit of a green in their profitability, they get out of the trade. Oh my God, I'm all excited. Yeah. However, what they will do also is they will stay in a losing trade forever. Why? Because they don't want to accept a loss. The brain has got to, at some point, it's amazing. They will stay in a trade. They would rather, and I don't know if it's they would rather, but this is what ends up happening is, they would rather, look, we use stop orders. Stop orders protects and identifies how much money we want to lose. Yeah. Somebody who has a stop order down 50 cents can get out of the trade and lost $50. Either they won't use a stop order because they think that the man is out to get them and la, 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 or all that kind of stuff, and they think market makers are criminals. Yeah. Or they will move the stop order. As the stock price gets closer to the stop order, they keep moving it and moving it and moving it. They would rather not. Okay, the psychological impact of accepting a loss is so big to the brain that they would actually rather lose $500 as opposed to $50.
Because hope is a human thing.
Right, yeah.
But hope is not a strategy.
No, hope is not a strategy.
Also, we have to understand when the stop loss hit.
Right.
Now it's a physical loss.
And it's reality, right? It's a physical loss,
it's
yes.
Painful.
Yes.
So we avoid pain.
Right, we prolong the feeling of feeling pain.
But we avoid it when we're moving the stop.
Yes, we are.
That's
right,
we're
prolonging.
Exactly.
Correct.
Like we avoid the pain when we take profits sooner.
Right.
Because it's painful to see the unrealized gains that could disappear.
Yes.
So that's why people need to work on their brain.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, you need to learn the technicals.
Right.
You need to choose a strategy that fits your personality, that you feel good about it. And then you have to act as a scientist and repeat the same process over and over again.
Right.
So you can actually test your data with real and clean data.
Right.
In science, if you want to try and test a medication on someone,
right.
you have to give the same dosage to everyone. You select people based on their characteristics.
Right.
You know, like it has to be very, very tight. The way you select. So same thing for trading. If you trade a strategy, have the same rules to enter a trade, to exit a trade. And then build the data. And also the brain needs repetition.
Right.
So for me, it has to become a habit, basically. So we talk, you need to be disciplined. Yeah, nobody's disciplined.
Yeah,
no,
nobody's disciplined.
So it's not that
But
easy.
you know what? Sorry to interrupt you, but we cannot cherry pick. You can't look. A successful trader is somebody who every trade that sets up, you have to try it.
Yeah.
This is a probability game.
Exactly.
All you have to do to be successful is make money more times than you lose, and as long as you follow those rules.
Yeah.
If I'm making money 51% of the time, I'm a winner, right? But then you also look. We have one of the other premises. So my partner, David Green, right, who is just an amazing trader. He started as a squad on the floor in 1985, went on to become a clerk and a market maker, right? A market maker who everybody hates, but he was wonderful at it. He ended up getting bought out in one of the big takeovers on Wall Street, retired at the age of 38, and went on to become a went on to trade. Now, as a market maker, he held all the orders in his hands. He had everybody's buy orders and everybody's sell orders, and all he did was just cross stock. So it was a very easy way to make money. When he retired and went on to went on to trade, he did technical analysis, wasn't even an option. He couldn't make money to save his life. Okay, so the whole game completely changed.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you didn't have all the same tools. You had to reinvent yourself. You had to learn technical analysis to try and do that. Exactly. You know what? This is not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy, right? And so it's easy, it's not simple. It's easy, one of those two. But you know what? Look, also think about this. I mean, what's amazing is the psychology of trading is the most important thing above all.
Oh yeah.
It's everything. It's the differentiator between somebody making money and losing money. Like this. So we've got premises that we call them the 10 Commandments of Love. They're David Green's secrets to successful trading. One of them is have a plan on how much you want to make. When you hit your goal, you turn the machine off. That's the best it's going to get. The other result would be over trading, right? You'll turn then second trade is have a stop order on every trade, right? That's the key. You want to identify how much money you're willing to risk in order to make money. You don't sit down there and go, ooh, how much money am I going to make? How much am I willing to lose in order to make money? The next thing is never turn a winning trade into a losing trade. If I buy 100 shares at 50 and I have a stop order at 49 and a half, and I get stopped out, I never move my stop orders. I got stopped out, I lost 50 cents. It's okay. I move on to the next trade. Okay? However, if it goes to 50 and a half, I sell half my position. I move my stop up to break even. Now this is a wonderful psychological tool. I just made 50 cents and I cannot lose money on the trade. What an amazing feeling for a new trader to have just made some money and not be able to lose money on the trade. If it goes to 51, I sell 25% more. I move my stop up to lock in a 50-cent profit. And as I do that, the confidence level that I get from having made a little money and not able to either break even or make or guarantee myself to make money is one of the greatest things to build the tools of a great trader. Right?
Exactly. You want to start small. Learning how to execute correctly first, and then trade management comes. But first,
it's a scalable business,
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. But one of the other things is know when to stop trading when you're making money and know when to stop trading when you're losing money. One of the things that people have a mistake is they don't know when to stop. Like what is the alternative to over trading, to not stopping when you hit your goal is over trading.
Not stopping.
Not stopping, right, and giving back your profits.
Exactly.
The other problem is we have our rule is 3 losing trades. You turn your machine off, you're done for the day. You write 3 max loss trades. I lost 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. I'm done. I'm not a loser. I'm not a bad trader. I'm having a bad day.
Exactly.
I'll come back from a bad day.
Yeah.
But what I won't come back from is revenge trading. I can go home having lost $500, or I can go home having lost $8,000.
Exactly.
And that's it. You know what? I try always to use the analogy of somebody who goes to the casino. Right? There are 2 kinds of gamblers, right? Somebody who sits down they go to the casino with their family. They have $1,000. They make a plan. If I turn my 1,000 into 2,000, I leave the table. I go out. We go to a show. We have some steak dinner, and I go back to my room to sleep.
Exactly.
Someone without a plan goes in with 1,000. They're up 2,000. They're up 3,000. They go all in because they think they have diamond hands.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, they're down 3, they're down 5, they're down 8. They've been to the ATM 5 times and they can't pay their rent.
Exactly.
Those are the 2 different kinds. So the planning part, the strategy part, all of that, and I guess discipline. You don't like that word, but it's consistency. I think is the key.
The discipline in following the recipe. When I work with traders, I tell them the metaphor of baking a cake.
Right.
You have to follow a plan to bake a cake. If
Right.
I'm baking a cherry pie,
Right.
I'm not putting cocoa in my recipe. It's a cherry pie.
Right.
So follow the rules, and then you follow the rules to make the pie. So entry, right? Enter
Right.
your position, executing correctly. You put the cake in the oven, the pie, whatever. Are you checking the oven every 30 seconds? Is it ready?
Yeah. No.
Is it ready? Oh,
Right.
I'm gonna take no. Of course not.
No,
leave
but
the
I
damn
did. Some
pie
people cook that
alone.
way. Yes.
I leave the damn pie alone, right? So
and let it play out its.
let the market show you what it can give you.
Yep.
And surrendering to uncertainty is the hardest part.
Yes.
Because the brain hates uncertainty.
Yes. Yeah, it does.
Everything
And the
we
markets,
do.
and as well as the market, right? The only thing, look, the market can't handle two things, which is uncertainty. I forgot my other. It's just the unknowns, and I've lost my train of thought. But that's the only markets can handle virtually anything, right? Except surprises and uncertainty, right? And that's what breaks a market.
And obedience. When I talk with traders, also I talk about obeying the damn rules.
Right.
Okay, like in the turtle traders experiment, right? That they did back in the days, where two traders were fighting to see if we can learn trading, like everybody can learn, or if you had characteristics that make a good trader.
Right.
And you know what's the best predictor of a successful trader? Obedience.
Okay.
It's not about being smart. It's
Right.
not about
nothing
learning
to-
everything you have to know about the
Right,
markets.
right.
It's about simplicity, and it's about obeying the rules even if you are uncomfortable.
Yes.
And
yes.
that part, because every cell in your brain wants to do
Yes,
otherwise.
yes. I love that.
So you keep instructing yourself. And I work with many techniques based on cognitive behavioral therapy, but basically it all comes down to keeping the prefrontal online all the time.
So different parts of the brain have different functions, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and what does the front of the brain
So the
do?
prefrontal cortex, it's about following or like rules,
Right.
process oriented, like
Right.
it keeps you grounded.
Right.
But it's the first one that goes down if you're too stressed, too overwhelmed with all the charts. You're
Right.
tired. You want to make money. Don't be an needy trader. You're gonna get burned.
Yeah.
You need nothing.
Yeah.
You execute and you let the market tell you if you make money or not today. I never know how much I'm gonna make.
And you never know what trade's going to work either.
Exactly. But I have a
exactly.
signal, I have to take it.
Yeah.
Also, I work with higher time frame to understand the sentiment.
Okay.
Okay, like this morning we had a breakout on the 4-hour chart on NQ.
Right.
If I short NQ today, I'm gonna have a base hit.
Right.
I'm gonna cut my trade at the next intraday support.
Right.
I'm not messing around
Right.
because the bulls look like.
Right,
when I
right.
looked at the chart earlier, bulls look
Right.
like.
Bulls are still. Did you cover your shorts?
Yeah.
And I went against you.
Yeah, break
Yeah.
even. I
You broke
closed
even.
it
Yeah.
because I had a monthly level. So
Okay.
I said if the price goes above the monthly,
Right,
I'm out.
I'm
And I
out
had a
of the
super
trade.
beautiful entry. So
Yeah.
it happens, But
100%.
and we have to become like also sexy losers. Like our losing trade have to be cute,
Right.
and be proud about the way we lose. Stop bragging about winning trades. Everybody can have a winning trade,
Yeah.
but not everybody can have a losing trade.
So listen to this. My partner, who I'm the moderator in chief, I'm the face of the company. He's the teacher. He's the professor. And he always says executing a losing trade correctly is the same as executing a winning trade if you do it right.
Yeah.
Right? They're both, that's the
It's
sexy
just
part
a
of this whole
trade.
game. Yeah, it's just a trade.
Just a trade.
And
now
do not give it the power that it tries to take over on you.
Like, thank God I had a stop on, because I'm wrong.
Hi.
My thesis is I'm short. If it's making a new high, I have to cover because they're making a new high.
Correct.
So the bulls are in control. We're trending up.
Yeah.
So the sentiment is not in my favor.
Yeah.
I'm not fighting. I understand the language of the chart, and I'm the best obedient servant.
Yes.
Obey your master.
You cannot, right? Exactly. You have to. You cannot fight the market. You can't fight the tape.
price is king.
Right. That's an old Wall Street adage. Is no, you can't fight the tape.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. You know what? We could talk about this forever and ever. I look at the end of the day, psychology of trading and psychology of markets is amazing. Look, there are all kinds of analysts. There are all kinds of. Everybody's got their own strategy, and everyone thinks they're the greatest. And what I find is what's fascinating is, look, we have now the democratization of the trading community. Okay, everybody. Excuse me. Everybody thinks they could do this for 1 year and 2 years, and they're suddenly experts.
Oh, yeah.
And that's incredibly frustrating to me.
People have no patience. They want to make money, but they want to make money fast.
It's all about get rich quick scheme, and they really think that, and then they look, and it's all about like posting pictures on the back of a Bugatti with stacks of $10,000, and that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, you don't trade to make money.
No.
Money happens to be an offshoot of successful trading. But if you trade for that profitability, you will end up losing. It's not going to be a successful story. Anyway, you know what? Look, at the end of the day, psychology is the number one thing that will differentiate somebody from a successful trader or a not successful trader. We have an academy called Wall Street Global Trading Academy. That's the main thing we teach. We say every time and time again, anybody can be taught to press a button and enter an order. It's what you do when you get into that trade.
When you work with someone, with a psychologist, okay, you can work your brain to get there.
Right.
It's trainable. Neuroplasticity exists. You can learn a new skill.
Right.
You can learn to become a trader, but it takes self-compassion,
Right.
patience, self-love,
Right.
okay, because respecting your rules is respecting yourself.
Right.
Because if you cheat yourself, then you traumatize yourself way more than when you lose money.
Right.
Because you lose trust in yourself.
Right.
But everything is trainable.
Yeah.
It is possible to make it. And that's why I want to help people. I want this paradigm shift in trading, that simple trading exists.
Right.
Okay, and I want to help people make it because I know it's possible, because I am making good money. I am happy. I found my cake recipe that works for me.
Right,
and I think it's possible for everyone that put the right work in. So let's save the world.
You know what? I love it. Let's save the world. Boom, to the moon, and I love it. You know what, Vanessa? Unbelievable. I could talk to you forever. It's so exciting to do this, and there's so much more we could talk about. So, you know what? This is an ongoing story. This is an evolving story. And right now, we've got these 50 million new traders in the marketplace. Right now, we know that the accessibility into the market has been made clear, whether it's with Apex or whatever company it is. It's out there, and people are flocking to it. I have never seen. Look, I'm on the cutting edge of social media, and I have millions of people who follow me, and everybody's eyes are on this market. Ever since COVID came along, it's a revolution, right? This is a next generation that is absolutely gone wild here. Many people came in during COVID. They got their ass whooped. Many people never vowed they will never ever come back here, right? They were psychologically traumatized, and they will never come back. Many did come back. Those people who are able to mature and to learn. And right now, retail money is smart money. The ones that came back, they were beaten down to, look, we do it with relationships, we do it with love, we do it with any number of things. We do it with addiction. You can get beaten down, you can get to the bottom, you can hit your bottom, and then the bottom can fall out of the bottom, right? But you need to, you stop, when you stop digging, right, is when you start to grow.
Exactly.
And that's when you will become teachable.
Exactly.
The humility of becoming a good trader is when you become teachable.
And
that's what humility means to me.
Exactly. And being able to be vulnerable. If you're not able to be vulnerable, never become a trader.
Yeah.
Because you have to be okay with being wrong.
Yes.
With being beaten up.
Yeah.
You have to be okay with it and be transparent.
Yeah.
So
and that fragility, look, it works in relationships, right? I mean, that whole macho thing, that just doesn't work. At the end of the day, you're not showing your true and pure self. And the last point I'll make, because we live in this world where everybody's hiding behind their phone and social media. You don't even know who people are, right? And exactly. And so we're our true selves. I interviewed a lady recently who said that she had sent her father for therapy. okay? And she was paying the bill, $150 a session, and suddenly she noticed that he wasn't spending the money. And so she asked him, are you still going to see that psychologist? And he says, no, I'm using ChatGPT for my psychology. And she said, whoa, wait a minute. When we get to the point as human beings that where is our truth going to live when we are no longer asking another human being for help and we're asking a machine for help? That is the beginning of the destruction of humankind, right? In a way, because think about that. I know it's being written that, that machine learning and all that kind of stuff. But, there's certain things, there are human things, human traits, right, that need to be dealt with as one human being talking to another. And that's why that one-on-one, we've seen people come to us, right, and who are teachable, right? I mean, that's why most people can't do this. But those who are humble will always be. I have been doing this for 137 years, and one of the reasons I'm still here is because I always have that humility that I will always be teachable. I never the terms I know are not part of my vocabulary. If someone comes to me with something that works that I have not seen yet, I will listen, and I may not adopt it, but I will listen. Exactly. And so that's exciting. You know what? This has been great. Thank you so much. I look forward to more talks. We can kick some ass and change the world, right? You know what? This is the Einstein of Wall Street. This is Psychology of Trading, and that's all I got to say about that.